Welcome everybody to the Cincinnati Bengals Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm your host for the Bengals Weekly Show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to welcome in my co-host. First up, Ty Robbins. How you doing, Ty?
Who Day Nation. We finally got one. We didn't have to wait 8 weeks to get it. So I'm excited that, the line played much better. Of course, it was Jacksonville, but they played much better and in sync. And I was happy for Joe Mixon that he finally got, his game off and running and whether he's catching, for a touchdown or he's running for a touchdown. And, once again, Joe Burrow had a big passing day. So I was excited to see all of that. And it changed things a little bit for me. Maybe I should bet against them more often. But
yeah, I bet against you this week too. I knew that was going to happen. But our next guest played in Super Bowl 23, first-round draft pick in 1986 for the Bengals, number 58, Joe Kelly. How you doing, Joe?
Hey, it's a good weekend. I didn't know if Ty was going to be able to calm down and make the show this week. I know he's going to be excited, man. It's this is one of the times where I can say I'm pleased to be showed that I was wrong. They went out. I'm very happy for both the Joes, Joe Burrows and Joe Mixon. Burrows continuing to do what he's been doing, and Joe Mixon to finally be able to show that he's a top tier back. Even though I'm ecstatic, I'm happy for Bingo Nation. That we got off the snide, we got that victory. But I am a realist. It was Jacksonville. Jacksonville's not a really good team right now. You're talking, they were playing with guys who were on the practice squad last week. But in the NFL, you take it. I'll take a ugly win against a team that has some of their starters out. Then a great, really nice loss. And we played really well, but we still lost. So, now we'll take a victory, and I don't know, Ty, Mike, can we build on that? And we have a speeding train heading toward us, and we better look at this tunnel and realize it's a train coming at us. We won't have too many days to be on our high horse and think about, hey, we got a victory because we have Baltimore as our next opponent, and there's no time. The celebration is over, and hopefully we're going to devise some kind of defensive game plan to keep that guy in the box and don't allow him to do to us what he did to us last year in both games.
Well, I think one thing that really helped this week, and Ty brought it up at the end of last week's show about Alex Redmond coming in and playing guard. Yeah. Redmond played really well. Jonah Williams played much better. The question here is, though, Ty, is this just because it's the worst defensive line in football, or were the Bengals better?
I think they were better. I think Redmond brings a taste of nastiness. You know what I mean? He's mean. He's a wrestler. So he's going to come in and he's going to be physical. He's going to be more physical than Price and probably be more coordinated than Johnson. What the thing with Redmond is with last year, he comes with penalties, right? He's either offsides or, he had one holding penalty, I think. But you got to look at the pluses and minuses. You're going to give up penalties or you're going to protect Joe Burrow so he can do his thing. So I think he'll get better this week as he plays. He's played next to Hart. He's played next to Hopkins. So he feels comfortable. They have chemistry there. So I think it was much better than what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. And hopefully we'll really get a taste of, how he's going to do with a really tough Ravens defense.
All right, now my problem here is this. Joe Mixon played really well. Gio Bernard plays hardly at all, Joe. And I think it's a shame here that we don't see both of these guys in the same backfield at the same time more often.
I mean, now you look at it and you look how up until last week how the offense struggled to move the ball, struggled to run, struggled to get Joe some time. And when you look at what Giovanni brings to the table, we know what Mixon can do. We know as Bengal fans, Bengal Nation, we know what Giovanni can do. We have to be able to utilize what we have. Unfortunately, we're AJ missing that whole year. We can all Bengal fans, we love him, but we can see that he doesn't have that second gear yet. Hopefully it'll come with getting in football condition, but AJ he doesn't have that second gear. But you have Tyler Boyd doing his thing. You have Higgins. Higgins is coming on. Imagine Mixon and Giovanni. You put those guys in the game at the same time. You present. There's going to be a mismatch somewhere. If these guys, we love Ty, you called it. Putting Redmond in there. I'll take that guy. I'll take that. I'll take a holding penalty because guess what he's doing? Redmond's in there. He's in there kicking ass. He's going out. He's bringing the attitude. He's bringing that thing that you need in that guy in the huddle, that he comes back every play, even if he got a holding penalty. But he's bringing that thing that you need, that juice. We don't see that out of the other offensive line. We see them getting beat, and they just turn around and, helping, at least go help Joe up. You get a guy like Redmond who's aggressive, and you see that guy, you see him flying around. It gets contagious. And does he have a lot of work to do? Absolutely. But I think, since he's been here, the games that he has played, he's showed us that aggression. And God knows on offensive line, we need some aggressive guys that's going to fire off the ball, knock those guys off the line of scrimmage. Give Joe Mixon, give Giovanni, give them 3 inches, 4 inches. That's it, and let him get to that line and go one-on-one with the linebacker. And I like our chances if we ever are allowed to put those two guys in a position and go one-on-one with the running back with the linebacker.
Yeah, and if you look at the linebacker position, Logan Wilson was out due to a concussion, and Jordan Evans came in. I don't think he played great, but he did make a couple impactful plays in this game, Joe.
Yeah, I've always said that kid is a good athlete. He's an Oklahoma kid, natural athlete. I like his size. I like his speed. For whatever reason, I don't know why the coaching staff hasn't. I think he's good enough to get in the mix and play himself out of just play himself out just to be on special teams. Give him that opportunity, like Redmond. Give him an opportunity. You gave him opportunity. What happens? Was he the main guy responsible for Joe Mixon and Joe Burrow's day? No, but you get a guy. It could take one guy to get in there and make those changes. I think because our linebacker position is so subpar, and then with Logan Wilson going out, you bring Jordan Evans in. He brings the athletic ability. He puts you in a position to take some chances because he can cover a tight end downfield. He can cover a running back downfield. He has the athletic ability to do that. And when you have you got to have athletic linebackers in this game right now, today's game. But that allows you to allow 96 Dunlap the rush, and stop putting him in pass coverage. We need him, going after the quarterback.
Yeah, and my concern coming up to get ready to play the Baltimore Ravens, who are considered one of the best teams in the NFL, probably top 3 in the AFC. And with Carlos Dunlap, DJ Reader, Sam Hubbard, Carl Lawson, my question here is this, Ty, against a Baltimore team that's going to be run heavy. I mean, it's going to be hard to get this done with just like 4 guys in the rotation of defensive tackle. You got to worry about them getting tired. Andrew Brown did come back after being inactive the previous week. He was a healthy scratch. He played 12 snaps, but the depth on the defense is what concerns me when you go in to play the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, that's always a concern.
There, Ty?
Yeah, you were cutting out.
All right.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
All right.
We got you.
Okay. So that's always a concern.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. It's always a concern when you don't have the depth, and people are injured. I don't see Geno coming in this week, though they said he's at limited practice. I just don't see him coming in. So you got to step up, and with Daniels out, that's a real concern, especially with the team that's loaded. You got to not only worry about the running backs, but you got to worry about an exceptional quarterback. And he's been out for 2 days of practice, so we'll see if he. I'm sure he's going to play. He's a gamer, so we'll see how effective he is. If they have him running, if he does have a bad knee, they may, decide not to have him run as many, which would be helpful on us and certainly on our defensive line. But our linebackers are going to have to step it up. Everybody's to win this game. You're going to know what you're made of. You're going to come out and you got to go guns a-blazing. And so people are going to have to, be disciplined with their gaps and stopping, the lanes and forcing the running backs, to go out instead of in. And hopefully the linebackers and everybody step up. I thought everybody played fairly well against the run. Jacksonville they have a pretty tough little running back there. And so I thought they did a good job at stopping him for the most part, considering who was playing defense on the line there.
All right, so when we look at this game, this is a game. If the Bills were to win it, Joe, then Ty would really – we may not even be able to get him on the show. He'd probably still be out partying by next Wednesday.
But I'd be out
when you look at
scalping Bengal tickets, Super Bowl tickets.
Yeah.
We see this every week in the NFL where a team will come in, beat a team nobody thinks they should beat. So let's compare this to a team you played on. 1988, Cincinnati Bengals were 6-0. They went to Foxborough to play Doug Flutie and the New England Patriots, who were not a team that year. So the question is this. Going into that game week 7 with a 6-0 record, you'll hear them talk about, there's a letdown. Maybe they're not taking this team seriously. Does that happen in the NFL?
I don't want to believe that it happens. Personally, I always approach every game the same because you're going against guys who you played against that were pretty good. But overall as a team, I think we did. I think we were looking past them. I think we got on a roll. And it wasn't like we didn't have a good game plan. Your NFL, you studied, you practiced. We knew what they were going to do. They knew what we were going to do. And we just went out there and laid an egg. And it was just, we just sort of got steamrolled. And as a team, we were not prepared. I wouldn't say that every individual wasn't prepared, but just like I've always talked, this is a team sport, and everybody has to be ready to play. And if everybody doesn't come to play, then you can be in trouble because this is NFL. And on that note, you think about Baltimore and how they feel. They look at us and they look at, hey, they're 0-2-1. Then they came out, they beat Jacksonville, but Jacksonville's nothing. And they totally annihilate us. We were embarrassed by Baltimore last year. So they could be that. They could be in here so overconfident based on our play, based on if they look at some of the previous games of the film, what they see, and how dominate how our offensive line was getting dominated, how our run defense was horrible, and knowing what they did to us last year, knowing what with Ingram and Lamar Jackson, knowing what they're capable of doing, and hopefully we can catch those guys on a natural high and not really taking this game and looking past the Bengals Sunday toward the next opponent and hoping that they're going to come get that same bingo team that they played last year and embarrassed us at home.
Well, and Ty, when you look at the Ravens so far this season, they started off with a convincing win against Cleveland. They struggled to put Houston away until the fourth quarter. They got manhandled by the Kansas City Chiefs, and they had some trouble with the Redskins last week. So I don't think this is a game where the Bengals have no chance. And I know it's crazy for me to say that because I usually do. But I really believe, and this may be nuts, but with Joe Burrow, all things are possible.
I agree. He's got a great receiver core. Joe Mixon's coming off a big game. And I'm going to be honest here. When I watch, Facebook and everybody posting about AJ Green, and I think it's time for him to go, and he doesn't have the legs and all this stuff. No. I can say this: AJ Green always steps up, always when he plays the Ravens. I don't know what it is, but I'm hoping that he has this big game. I'm hoping that Joe Burrow can launch some down the field, and AJ gets his legs. And proves these guys wrong, because AJ is still a player, and I think he's got a lot to prove. I think he's just getting back. If I took a year off wrestling and came back, it would take me a while to get in wrestling shape, and certainly to be able to compete at that level that he's competing at. And so I think AJ, will have I'm hoping he has a big game like he always does against the Ravens, which might open up Joe Mixon to have some good runs, and anything's possible. Wilson, have run one back like he did last year, and anything's possible. These guys might overlook us, like Joe says, and it's game on. That's how I look at it.
Well, this is the thing, Joe. The way I look at it is this: the Bengals got to win. It's a win over a team that's not that great, but hell, we're not considered that great, so it was an even matchup, and we won it.
Yeah.
The question now is, and you've talked about this before, the competitive spirit of this team. Is this a team that comes out like last year? They get the big kickoff return, then they lay down. Or will this team step up and fight till the end on this game? So I don't think the win and loss is what I'm looking at here. What I'm looking for is some guys that will go out and compete, to believe they can win. If they can show me that, I would be happy no matter what the result was.
Yeah. It's about competing. But we look at because everybody's studying game film now. So when I look at that Kansas City game, when they're looking, so we looked at the game. They're looking at clip by clip, first down, 1st and 10, 1st and short, 1st and medium, second and short, 2nd and medium, 2nd and long. You're looking at, and you're able to see. In my opinion, Kansas City's defense is not much better than ours. And they control.
Oh, Joe, come on, Joe.
I don't think so.
Joe, they were the number one defense in the NFL over the last 6 weeks of the season last year.
They still have holes. They've filled some holes. I think they're Chris Jones, their defensive end, putting pressure on them. I think their linebackers. I think their linebackers they're okay. But I think we can look at what they did. Their defense did to stop Lamar Jackson. And like Ty said, people are talking about AJ. And I've always said AJ, he just needs to get his legs under. Get involved. If you look at, I think we have to try and get him involved more, because right now, if you watch his demeanor, it's getting to a point, he's going to want to be targeted some more. If you look at the routes that he's running, they're sending him in routes to clear out underneath for Tyler Boyd. They're sending him on routes to clear out for Ty. So he's running a lot of, I call dummy routes. And you can look at how he takes off, how he's breaking, that the ball is not intended. He's not the number one target. I think, that being said, the only way we can and we will be successful against them is our receiving core. Tyler Boyd, played great against them. I think almost every game he's played against them, he's had good games. AJ has great games against them. If our offensive line can give us a little time, and they can play close to what they played like last week, I think gives us a chance. I think Joe Burrows can put together some nice long drives to keep that kid on the other side, keep him on the sideline, and that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to control the clock, control the line of scrimmage. Run the ball, move the ball, and keep the ball out of Lamar Jackson's hands.
Yeah, and I think the other key here is to get a lead, because the times that the Ravens have failed and times Lamar Jackson has struggled are times when, last year in the playoffs, Tennessee jumps up 14-0. Then all of a sudden, you can't just run the ball all the time. They start to throw it, and I don't think Lamar – and this is not a knock on Lamar, because I don't think Lamar's issue with throwing the ball down the field is necessarily with Lamar. I think it's the fact that they keep drafting running backs instead of getting more weapons at wide receiver.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I think this is a game that if you could somehow jump them early, maybe they overlook you, and next thing you know, it's 14-0. You got a chance. But we all know here the big key is to be able to stop the run. I don't have a lot of confidence they can do that, Joe.
If we're not at full speed as far as our defensive line is concerned, we're going to struggle. It's not, the guys are not going to get a magic pill and swallow it Sunday morning and play differently than we've been playing. We have to be at full strength on our defensive line if we're going to improve our defensive our defense against the run. Our linebackers are not. We don't have the linebackers. I don't know if Logan's going to play on Sunday, but we're gonna go as far as our D line carries us. Our linebackers, what we have now, what we have to work with, these guys are not going to be game changers. I think if Gino is able to come back and Logan comes in, and you see what I'm telling you from now to week 10, week 11, you're going to be seeing a brand new player, in my opinion, as far as Logan Wilson is concerned. I don't think 57 is going to progress that much, but I can tell you when your rookie year and you start learning, the game starts slowing down every single week. You can start seeing, and then if our defensive line can get healthy, then now that those linebackers come into play. The game is slowed down. Now 55 can start making some plays like he was making in college because the game is slowed down. We're just going to have to. It's going to be tough because the thing about it, when other teams, when you see something, you're going to exploit it. And everybody that we're playing against, they've seen certain things that work against us all the time, and our run defense is porous. And they're going to attack it. They're going to attack it, and at the bottom line, we're going to have to man up, and we're going to have to stop it.
I agree with Joe. I think.
Yeah, and I think
I think we're going to have a hard time stopping run game. They've got three backs, and when Dobbins is your third down back, your third back, that's a tough running group, a core, and they're not afraid to use all of them. They use all of them. The rest of them, unlike us, they will use all of them. So I think the key to winning this is good. It's going to be a shootout, right? It's going to be a shootout with Joe Burrow throwing. He's kept us in all of these games. We should have won the first one. We came back on the second one. The Jaguars, the Philadelphia, we should have won. We should have never tied that. If he can. I agree with Joe. If we can control the clock and we keep Lamar off the field and we just keep up, I think it's whoever has the ball last is going to win. And you can win these big games if they come out and play and they go 4 quarters. They don't lay an egg and they're ready to go. And I feel like every game they've been in, they could have come back or at least had a shot at it. So when you have a leader like Joe in the huddle, you always got a chance. I feel that way. The defense, they're going to struggle, and I don't know how you fix that.
Well, I think the key with Lamar Jackson is to keep him in the pocket. Joe, the linebackers have to be disciplined. The defensive ends have to be disciplined. You have to collapse it. You have to make him beat you in the pocket, and he is definitely capable of doing that because he's a lot more explosive on throws and runs when he's outside of the pocket.
Lamar's going to beat. If we lose, Lamar's going to beat us with his legs. He's going to beat us with his legs. His ability to be drop back.
You there, Jim?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? So Lamar's he has the capability, to be effective in the pocket. But that's a work in progress. Is Lamar Jackson can be one of the top tier throwing quarterbacks in the league, top 5? I doubt it. But I think with his running ability and how he's progressing in the passing the game, the knowledge of the game, he's always going to be a top tier run back because he's always going to be a dual threat. That being said, with our defense being so porous, we have to. These guys have to go into this game plan, know this game plan, and damn it, if you got the A gap, stay in the A gap. Don't let your eyes lose the game. Your eyes gonna lose the game. If you got the A gap, stay in the A gap because he might be running over there. Next thing you know, 2 steps he's back in the A gap. You left the A gap and came around. If you got contained, and it's a run. Don't invert the line of scrimmage. You're just running straight up the field. So now you put the defensive tackle on the island because you inverted the line of scrimmage at the defensive end on a run. So now the hole is bigger. If he's passing, you got to be disciplined enough to know if there's games in the defensive line. If we're not running games, you have to be disciplined and stay in your rush lane. There's rush lanes. You have a linebacker that's going to be whether or not it's going to be right in the middle. Hook curl. We have to stay when you play against a kid like this. A kid like Mahomes. Brady, you have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined in your drops. You have to be disciplined in your attacking your gaps in the run, and you have to be disciplined when he's dropping back the pass. Because with him, his athletic ability, if you're undisciplined in your rush routes, and he sees something, an opening, that's 20 yards. And we seen last year that 10, 20-yard gain can be a 50-yard touchdown. So, we have to play as a disciplined defense because we're not talented enough. We're not good enough to think that one guy is going to come in and make a play to get Lamar Jackson on the ground.
All right. So have we talked ourselves into picking the Bengals yet, Ty? It's time to pick the game.
Ty.
We're going to start with Ty because he's the one that's going to struggle the most with it.
Yeah, I don't sleep well whenever I pick against the Bengals. I think realistically, I think they got too much for our defensive line, and I think it's going to be a rough day. But, if Joe Burrow can come out and lead and we can control a lot of the clock, I think the Bengals could pull one off. 31-23 Bengals.
Oh, Ty is drinking the Kool-Aid, baby.
Ty is drinking more than Kool-Aid to make that pick.
Yeah.
Now, if that happens, I want some apologies next week. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Well, how do you know me and Joe aren't going to go right with you? And all three of us.
I know Joe might.
Yeah, well, I'm. With me, I'm looking and I'm always hopeful. Ty, I want to get those Super Bowl tickets just like you, bro. But I have to. As good as number 9 is, as good as this kid. This dude is doing this with no OTAs, with no preseason, with no practice. No, this dude is a rookie. And
no offensive line, Joe.
Yes.
And no coaching.
So that too, like, but that's why, as far as Bengal Nation, Bengal fans, man, we got something to be excited about. That being said, Ty, I'm looking. So what I'm optimistic about is that number 9 is going to keep us in the game. He's going to keep us in the game. If you look at any bad throw he's made, any drive that was stopped, this kid came back and competed, and this kid came back and put together hell of a drives. Even if we didn't always score a touchdown, but he's going to put us in position to be competitive. We've been in every game. The ref, in the 80s, that AJ's touchdown in the first game, that was a touchdown. Today's game, and even today's game, that call shouldn't have been made. So you look at realistically, we could have had and should have had 3 victories. And I think Mixon is he can. This kid can. I think he's going to run. He's going to make a run. He's going to give us 3-4 games in a row. Redmond's come doing his thing. But our bleep defense. Every single time that we needed them dudes to make a stop, right before the half, make a stop. First game, right before the half, make a stop. They got to go 80 yards. It's 50 seconds to go. One stop, make them punt. Toward the end of the game, one stop. Last game, one stop. We are not there as a defense. I think that Joe Burrow's in Bengal office. I think we're going to play better than a lot of people expect. I think we're probably Vegas. We're probably the biggest underdogs this week. But Joe is going to keep us. Both Joes are going to keep us in this game. But our defense is going to lose it for us. No, I beyond a shadow of a doubt, our defense until there's some changes systemically, and we're trying to do, because I didn't see it. I seen the same thing. So no matter how good the numbers, this kid is going to throw for 300 plus, maybe a 400-yard game. But our defense is going to lose it for us. Our defense is going to lose it, and I think it's going to, like I said, it's going to come down. It's going to be a close game, but I'm looking. Baltimore's going to pull it out, and I'm looking at 35-28.
All right. My problem is the defense also. But the one thing I will give you is this: I don't think the Baltimore Ravens offensive line is that good. I think it's possible the Bengals can cause some trouble there. Lamar Jackson definitely has ankle issues. He's missed 2 straight practices. Maybe we'll get lucky and they'll hold him out for a week since they considered us a bye week. I think in the end, Baltimore 34, Cincinnati 27. But I do think the Bengals will be in this game. I think the difference right now, and I think it's been the difference all season, is the coaching. The thing is this: we keep talking about all these games that we could have won. Well-coached teams win the majority of those games. Last year, even though the Bengals were 2-14, they lost 7 games by 1 score or less. So I would say that has to be concerning, that in less than a season and a half, the Bengals have lost 10 one-score games. And to me, that comes back to coaching. And if you look at the 3 wins that they've had, I think they were wins where the games were pretty much done by the time you get to the last 5 minutes, and any coaching may have to happen. So hopefully the defensive coordinator will get fired. Joe, my idea is this: Wade Phillips wants to come back to the NFL. Why don't we bring Wade Phillips back to be the defensive coordinator?
Hey, it would be an upgrade. It would be an upgrade.
Well, I think Wade Phillips is probably one of the 5 greatest defensive coordinators in NFL history. He was a scapegoat in Los Angeles for McVay since they failed last year. Yeah. And I also wouldn't have a problem if Wade Phillips just became the head coach.
Well, we don't know if they'll make that move, but I
Well, they wouldn't pay him, Joe. You know that. They'd want to pay him what
right.
Cleveland's paying their defensive backs coach.
Well, how bad are we dead last in the NFL against the run?
I don't know, but we should be if we're not. And if we're not, it's because we played Jacksonville.
First, after 2 games, we were dead last. I think we were giving up average 170 yards a game or something like that. I know it was ridiculous. So if the thing is, if they're really serious about this, and in order for this kid Joe Burrow to have a great season, we just can't wait for Geno to get healthy and think that Geno's going to change everything. Is Geno going to make an impact? Absolutely. But systemically, we have to, going with and trying new things, just like they put Redmond in, putting Evans in, get an athlete in there that's able to go sideline to sideline, that can fill that gap, when the defensive line is putting pressure, putting those guys in position to look comfortable, because a lot of times they don't look comfortable. And so when I say they don't look comfortable, they look like, in their pass drops, because ultimately when you're even if it's a zone, every zone really turns into man. So if I'm in my hook curl, why are you sitting down and the dude is right in front of you? You're 8 yards deep. You're not worried about nobody's over top based on the coverage. There are some defenses where you can't bite up on that short crossing route because somebody can come in. But that by alignment. You should know that based on how they're attacking you. There's a lot of times, you got guys just sitting down in the zone and guys just sitting there. He's right in your area. Man up, grab him. So it's. I don't think they're comfortable with the defense. And these are guys that have played in this scheme for 2 years now, and I still see some hesitation. And at the end of the day, based on our talent level, what we have at linebacker, you got to allow your guys to be able to play naturally, because we're not that gifted. We don't have those type of linebackers. So in order for them to be the most successful as they can be, either you have to dumb down that defense. I don't know what you're trying to do. And it looks like at times they don't know what you're trying to do. And you have to simplify things, because at the end of the day, it's still football. But you have to simplify it so these guys can play. You have to. So there's not, you don't have blown coverages and, guys running down the field wide open. And stop. You don't have to always try to outsmart somebody. Their tendencies. You studied the game for them. You know what they're. We know what Baltimore is going to do. Baltimore is not. It's not going to be a new offense Sunday. We know what they're going to do. The thing is, how are we going to stop it? Looking at the teams and how did somebody say how and why was Kansas City so successful? Houston was successful at times. They struggled last week. So what can we do to pick up on those things that work for the other teams? And Mike, like you said, it comes to coaching, and it's not like our offensively or defensively, we're not picking up things that worked for other teams or against other teams, and let's put together something that can put us in better positions by alignment and physically. So, it does come down to coaching, and we have to put our guys in, a lot better positions.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Remember, Ty picked the Ravens, or no, he picked the Bengals to beat the Ravens. So we'll have to answer for that next week. Hopefully, me and Joe will just have to compliment him on a great pick. We will be back next Wednesday night at 9:00 Eastern time with the Cincinnati Bengals show, hopefully to talk about a win. But for now, I want to remind everybody you hear the podcast version of this on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grilling Truth. And you can watch us live every Wednesday night at 9:00 on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitch, Periscope. So for now, for Ty Robbins, Joe Kelly, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening and watching to The Grilling Truth, where the legends speak. Don't say nothing. I hit the wrong button. All right.